Travel, once an open road of wonder, asks for different kinds of courage after 70. Not just the courage to go, but the wisdom to stay safe along the way. Adventure doesn't end with age. The spirit still yearns to see, to taste, to touch distant places. But the way we walk into the world must soften, adjust. Listen more carefully to the body that has carried us so far. Today, let's walk together through 5 quiet risks that travel after 70 may carry, and the tender ways we can honor both the hunger to explore and the sacredness of still being here. 1. The body's fragile echo. Hidden health risks. There was a time when we could leap onto planes, drag heavy suitcases through terminals, and still dance through new cities with energy to spare. But now, the body moves with a quieter rhythm. Its warnings are softer, its thresholds thinner, its margins for recovery far more precious. James, 74, had looked forward to that cruise for months. He packed with joy, greeted strangers with stories, and stood at the ship's edge watching the sea unfold like a promise. But on the 3rd night, his chest tightened. Not dramatically, not enough to panic, just enough to worry. There was no hospital nearby, no doctor who knew his history. Only a long, silent wait, while his body whispered what no one was quite equipped to hear. He recovered, eventually, but not easily. And the memory lingered far longer than the view ever did. This isn't about fear, it's about reverence. Because travel after 70 isn't about proving we're still strong. It's about honoring the strength that remains and protecting it. Science tells us the data: heart disease, blood pressure shifts, oxygen regulation. But the soul says it like this: the body, once your willing companion, now asks for a slower walk, a softer pace, and a little more care before chasing the next horizon. You can still go, you can still explore, but pack more than excitement. Pack preparation, pack the number of your doctor and a copy of your prescriptions. Pack insurance, not as fear, but as love. Let your joy be spontaneous. Let your safety be intentional. 2. Invisible threats, the tenderness of immunity. There was a time when we could drink from a faucet in a faraway place, share meals without thinking, touch railings, menus, handshakes without a second thought. But as the years gather beneath our skin, the defenses we once took for granted soften, not in weakness, but in quiet asking. The body no longer fights like it used to. It asks, instead, for partnership. Helen, 76, traveled to a coastal town she had long dreamed of. The markets were rich with color, the breeze warm with unfamiliar spices. She sipped tea from a street vendor's kettle, laughed with a local guide, touched 100 surfaces touched by 1,000 hands. 3 days in, her energy faded, her stomach turned. The nights were longer and the recovery slower than she remembered. It wasn't a catastrophe, but it took the shine off her joy. The truth is, our immune systems age with us, and the world, as beautiful as it is, doesn't pause to accommodate that. Science tells us clearly, weakened immunity increases susceptibility to foodborne illness, viruses, foreign bacteria. But healing doesn't speak in warnings. It whispers instead. The body that still seeks wonder also seeks protection. And so, we travel with hand sanitizer, with bottled water, with masks in crowded spaces, not in fear, but in reverence. Because the joy of travel doesn't live in recklessness. It lives in the wisdom to still reach for wonder while keeping yourself whole enough to remember it. Protect your body not because you're fragile, but because you are still deeply worth keeping well. 3. The long weight of distance, travel fatigue. There was a time when distance was just a number, a flight, a layover, a time zone to be shaken off with coffee and curiosity. But now, even the shortest journey can echo through the body for days. Richard, 75, had always dreamed of Paris, the cobbled streets, the warm scent of bread in the morning, the golden haze of evening light on old stone. And he made it there, ticket in hand, eyes full of wonder. But after one transatlantic flight, his legs felt heavier, his balance less sure. Sleep came in fragments. Mornings began with dizziness he didn't expect. The city was everything he had imagined, but his body wasn't fully there to greet it. It wasn't illness, it was fatigue, deep, slow-moving weariness that no itinerary could ignore. The truth is, recovery at this stage of life isn't just slower, it's wiser. Your body no longer races ahead. It pauses, it listens, it asks for pacing, for patience, for permission to rest before rising again. Science might call it circadian disruption, reduced resilience, delayed cellular repair, but healing says it more gently. Even strong rivers change speed with the shape of the land, and you too are allowed to move differently now. This doesn't mean giving up your journey, it means planning it with love, adding extra days not just to explore, but to recover. Choosing direct flights, slower transitions, fewer must-sees, and more must-feels. Because joy is never measured by how much ground you cover. It's measured by how deeply you're able to be present where you are. Go far if you wish, but go softly. And let your strength arrive one restful step at a time. The silent slips, risks of falls and injury. There was a time when uneven ground was part of the adventure. A challenge to be laughed off, a step skipped without second thought. But now, even beauty holds edges. Linda, 78, had long dreamed of Europe's cobbled lanes, the charm, the history, the feeling of walking through time itself. On her second morning in Florence, while marveling at a sun-warmed cathedral, she stepped onto a worn stone that dipped just slightly out of view. Her foot twisted, her balance shifted, and the ground rose faster than she could catch herself. One moment of awe became 3 months of recovery. A hip fractured, a trip ended, a season of movement replaced by pain and stillness. It wasn't carelessness, it wasn't weakness. It was simply the body asking for more care than the world was built to give. Because most places we travel to were not designed with aging knees, slower reflexes, or softer bones in mind. And that doesn't mean we shouldn't go. It means we go differently, with better shoes, with walking sticks if needed, with eyes scanning the ground, not just the sky. We pick routes with handrails. We rest often. We choose comfort over charm when the choice matters. Science would speak of declining proprioception, balance loss, reduced bone density. But healing says, you've earned the right to move with caution and be seen as strong for doing so. Safety is not a restriction. It is an extension of self-love. Choosing the stable path is choosing to keep walking into more mornings than one fall could take away. The thin line of trust, financial vulnerabilities. There was a time when planning a trip meant browsing pamphlets, asking neighbors, booking through someone you'd met face to face. But now, the world moves faster, louder, and trust is no longer earned with a handshake. It's shaped in pixels and promises you cannot always hold. George, 76, had found the listing late at night. A charming inn nestled in the countryside. Perfect photos, glowing reviews, a discounted price that whispered, "You deserve this." And he did. He deserved a break, a story to carry home, a quiet corner to sip morning coffee while the world slowed around him. But when he arrived, there was no inn. No one waiting with a key. Just a locked gate and the slow, sinking realization that what he'd paid for only ever existed on a screen. He didn't just lose money, he lost ease. He lost a piece of that bright thread that once made the world feel welcoming. And he's not alone. After 70, scams don't just hurt the wallet, they shake the very ground beneath years of careful trust. But here's the whisper beneath the warning. Caution is not weakness. It is love, for all the things you've spent decades building. So, you double-check bookings. You call the hotel directly. You use a credit card with fraud protection. You travel with information tucked safely and copies in your bag. Not because you expect the worst, but because you respect the life that got you here. The world is still worth exploring. But your safety, your dignity, your peace of mind must always come with you. There comes a moment when the question is no longer, can I still go? But rather, how can I go in a way that holds me gently? After 70, travel isn't about chasing distance. It's about choosing experiences that love you back, with softer schedules, steadier steps, and spaces that honor the body you've carried through a lifetime. You're not giving up the world. You're just walking through it in a way that lets you stay whole. And that, partner, isn't limitation. That's wisdom in motion. There's a quiet grief in realizing that freedom now comes with conditions, that the wildness you once carried in your bones must now be filtered through caution, through preparation, through slower steps. You may feel it as a soft ache, not in your body, but in your sense of who you used to be. The one who packed in minutes, the one who ran through airports, the one who didn't think twice. And now, you think twice, and 3 times, and you move more carefully, and it hurts a little. But in the space where recklessness once lived, something wiser is blooming. You begin to notice things. The sound of your breath when you walk alone, the color of the light on the floor of a train station, the kindness of choosing rest before exhaustion asks for it. This is not shrinking, it's deepening. You are not letting go of freedom. You are learning to hold it differently, with both hands and softer expectations. And that too is a kind of liberation. One built not on adrenaline, but on awareness. You're not saying no to the world. You're saying yes to the version of you that still wants to walk it, gently, wisely, and well. If any part of this reflection touched your journey, whisper, "Still exploring," below. The road never truly ends. It simply asks us to walk it differently. You are not too old to wander. You are simply too wise to wander without care. Your bones may ask for slower mornings, your breath for gentler pacing. But your spirit still knows how to marvel. And maybe now, the beauty isn't in how far you go, but in how deeply you feel each step. The quiet street, the warm tea, the smile from a stranger you no longer hurry past. This is not the end of your journeying. It is the beginning of traveling in a way that finally honors the one doing the traveling. So go, not in defiance, but in reverence. Go with rest in your bag and wisdom in your stride, and know this: the world still welcomes you, especially when you walk it as someone who knows their life is worth protecting. If something in this slow journey stayed with you, there's no need to rush. Just rest here for a moment longer. And when you're ready, walk a little further with us, into stories that honor your pace, your wisdom, and the beauty of moving through life gently. Subscribe if it feels right. Share if you know someone whose steps have slowed, but whose spirit still quietly reaches. The richest adventures aren't measured by miles, but by how softly you arrive in each moment that still belongs to you.